Good morning, this is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. Hey, check this out. The Sacramento Kings are in action tonight. They continue their road trip in Cleveland, and you can hear the game right here on Sports 1140, as you can with all Kings games. Coverage tonight begins with game night at 3 o'clock. Kings Live is at 4, and then the G-Man comes in with the tip-off at 4:30. Derrick Henry and the Titans started Week 14 of the NFL season with a 30-9 win over the Jaguars in Tennessee. Derrick Henry had a huge game, 238 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Raiders and Niners are both in action at home on Sunday. Oakland welcomes in the Steelers while San Francisco hosts the Broncos at 7:02. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHGK.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what? Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
Sean Salisbury at 7:35. We're going to ask him about Derrick Henry's night and where he would place that run. Dave Richard at 8:05. We're going to ask him how much crap he's got. I'm curious as to whether or not Dave Richard recommended Derrick Henry. I was thinking about fantasy football gurus last night because Old Takes Exposed was all over that with people saying sit Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
You can't blame them if they say sit Derrick Henry, dude.
Did you see my screenshot? The person in my non-drive fantasy league who has Derrick Henry had him on their bench. They're 1-12.
Yeah. I stated last night, we were in the old man cave eating dinner, watching the game, the kids and Melissa and myself. And then all of a sudden, this is somewhere in the third quarter, Melissa just screams out, "Oh my God!" like out of the blue. And we all jump.
Nice, dude.
We jump away from our nice pasta dinner and look at her. And she goes, "I'm playing Derrick Henry." And I said, you just know that? She's like, "I forgot I had him." I said, "Sweetheart, you are like a walking bad stereotype. You are setting women in fantasy football leagues back decades with this. How do you not know that you're playing Derrick Henry? You're in one fantasy football league." And by the way, before you send me letters, I can say that because Melissa won her fantasy league 2 years ago. But how do you know? The problem is that her team's crap this year.
Oh, so she checked out.
And that's the worst type of player. We've gotten in actual fights over this. We got in a huge fight like 3 weeks ago. She got really mad at me because I was like, you shouldn't even be in the league next year. So what are you talking about? Like, you gave up, dude. There are other people fighting for playoff spots. There are other people that need wins, and you're basically the bye week because you don't care. And I started to get pissed. I was like, because you don't care. You don't respect the other people in your league enough to take 5 minutes a week and set your fantasy football lineup because you're not in it. I'm like,
you don't have to do ads and drops. Like, if your team just stinks, your team stinks. But don't have a bunch of people who are on buys.
She played one injured person and one person on a bye that week, and I'm not in that league. But it pissed me off.
Hey, it's time to call Sierra Pacific to get up to $1,600 off a new Lennox furnace. Keep your home cozy and warm this winter. 800-551-3040 or SierraPacificHome.com.
Okay, that makes me happy. That got me out of that bad mood.
And I figured it would.
You know what else is going to get me out of this bad mood? It is a Friday, and there's a Sacramento Kings game tonight, and it's early enough. It's early. It's a 4 o'clock pregame, 4:30 tip right here on the Sporty 1140. It's early enough to where you can watch the game in its completeness and still have your Friday night, which is fantastic, man. It's a great sports weekend going on. And with the Kings, it's almost like we have to ease our way back into Sacramento Kings talk because they have not played since Tuesday. They left Phoenix, got there Wednesday, so they've had Wednesday night, all day yesterday, and today. Sometimes that's good. Obviously, getting a rest is good. But sometimes it can make you a little bit rusty, I guess is a term. They say ring rust in boxing, court rust, I guess, if you're in the NBA. Now, they're playing a Cavs team. You know, if you're going to go on the road and play two teams, Phoenix and Cleveland ain't a bad way to start out.
I have another stat about Phoenix coming up in Cold Hard Facts at 8:30.
Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Coors Light coming up at 8:30. Stay tuned for that Phoenix Suns stat. Does it have anything to do with their first quarter start last night?
It sure does.
Oh, okay. Now I'm very excited. The Cleveland Cavaliers have lost 5 of their last 6. Their last win was a road win on Monday, 99-97 over Brooklyn. The Golden State went in there in their last game and beat them in Cleveland by 24. They stand at 5-19. So again, we're starting to change our worldview and expectations on the Kings, some of us slower than others. And when you look at a game like tonight, this is a game, and I feel weird saying this, especially about a road game, but this is a game the Sacramento Kings should win. They are expected to win this game. Now, they're favored by 2.5 points. Kyle, 2.5 points. The Kings favored by in Cleveland. Is that line low to you?
A little bit.
I think it's a little, and damn
So
it.
2.5, right?
I just jinxed them.
No, you didn't.
Yes,
you
I
have
did, because
no
the last
impact
time
on the game.
The
Dave.
last time I said this was about the Jazz line when the Jazz were favored by, I think, 4 going into Sacramento, and the Jazz won that ball game. That's the
I
only.
believe we said the same thing about the game in Phoenix, though. It's almost like our words don't have an impact.
Well, that's wrong.
Almost.
That's actually wrong.
I didn't say it did, just almost.
This is a game the Kings should win.
Yes.
And speaking of betting, when you look at the Kings this year, there is only one team other than Sacramento that has done better against the spread this year in the NBA. Did you know the Kings are 14-8-1 against the spread? That means 63.6% of the time they have beaten the spread. For an average, they finish an average of 3.8 points better than the spread gave them credit for. The only team better than Sacramento in the NBA so far this year at beating the spread, the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks are 15-8, the Kings 14-8-1. I'm trying to think of why Dallas is better than the Kings at the spread.
Well, there are several.
Don't do it.
There are several factors.
It's a joke.
That the sports books look at when they make these lines.
So the Kings tonight have an opportunity to go 2-0 on this 4-game road trip.
And they have to make the lines in such a way that people don't stitch there and just win a ton of money.
When you look at the games coming up with the Kings, I'm doing this. Hey, all you radio consultants listening right now, you see how much better I'm trying to get at staying on
There's
track?
a lot of progress happening this week.
They go into Indiana Saturday. That will be a Sega Baba, as the bloggers say, a second game of a back-to-back. Indiana's probably not the game you want to have as a second game of a back-to-back. Saturday is looming. I don't want
that
to
might
look
be
ahead.
a schedule loss.
Yeah, that's looking very much like a schedule loss to me. That's looking like a schedule loss, like a a revenge loss for the Kings. I don't think Victor Oladipo is playing in that game. All signs point to the fact that he is not. But the only reason why I pause there, he's out indefinitely, recovering from the knee. But they say he's going to return to the lineup in the near future. This seems like the type of game where, and a surprise starter tonight is Victor Oladipo's back on the floor. I can absolutely see that happening. I remember the Kings escaped with a 1-point win against the Oladipo-less Pacers at home.
Yes, they were Ola shallow.
Yeah, exactly, Kyle. But I don't want to look ahead. I don't want to look ahead to the Indiana Pacers on Saturday night, probably being a schedule loss. I also don't want to mention the fact that the Pacers also playing the second game of a back-to-back. They're at Orlando tonight, and then they fly home. That's tough. Ooh, Orlando did.
We wanted to see progress from the Kings this year.
We did.
And progress is not only their record, but the fact that this is the first 2 of a 4-game road trip where it's hey, the Kings should win this game. I don't think you could have said that about like all but maybe 5 games last year, if that.
Yeah, where they should.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to play Chicago on this road trip, and they're probably going to be that line's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
But they very well could be favored in Chicago, who has Lauri Markkanen back, who has a new coach, but they went to Chicago and won last year. So they have a very clear opportunity where if we're going on expectations, like if I had to bet, and I hate saying this because it's a jinx, but this is a road trip where they should win 3 of 4 games.
Yes, objectively, that is correct.
Yeah.
They're objectively the better team in 3 of these 4 games.
We'll take a break from the 916. Court rest equals crust. I'll accept that.
I'm with that.
And some guy's mad at me for getting mad at Melissa about her fantasy etiquette because at least she's playing. Hashtag first world problems. Well, listen, Chris in Elk Grove, and that's actually him. I'm not making it up. That's where it's true equality for me. I don't treat my wife any differently because she's a girl when it comes to fantasy football. You come in and you play, I will respect you. I will not condescend to you. And I'll treat my wife just like I treat my buddy Fred, of which I don't have any friends named Fred, but I treat her the same way. Once you commit to playing fantasy football, you commit to setting your lineup for the entire year. You don't get any passes. When we come back, 4 down territory. Was last night's performance the greatest performance you've ever seen from a running back? We'll ask that question. I'm looking for upsets, games of the weekend, and Niners Raiders. Kyle Madson, back to you.
We'll also let you know that it's time to call Sierra Pacific to get up to $1,600 off a new Lennox furnace. Keep your home cozy and warm this winter. 800-551-3040 or SierraPacificHome.com.
Is that Sierra Atlantic?
Nope. That's SierraPacificHome.com.
The better one. The better one. We'll take
the best
a break
one.
When we come back. 4 down territory. Sports 1140 KHTK. Four down territory. Brought to you by Firewings.
Firewings.
21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com. Just wing it. Thank you, everybody on the text line now. People are asking me what someone's net worth is. What time is each Kings game for the rest of the road trip? I get it. I'm Google. Yeah, okay. Because some guy asked me when Dallas plays the Kings on the text line, Kyle.
Right.
I said I'm not Google. First down, Kyle.
Hey, Google. Was last night the greatest running back performance we've ever seen? Well, I'm going to ask that to Siri off air.
Let's do it right now. Hey, Siri. Was last night the greatest running back performance in NFL history?
My web search turned something up for was last night the greatest running back performance in NFL history. Have a look.
That's a cop-out, Siri. Let's go in a vacuum because I want to get away from, well, this guy did it in the Super Bowl, this guy did it in play, this guy.
In a vacuum.
In a vacuum.
No circumstances, just statistically 238 and 4 touchdowns on 17 carries.
238, 4 touchdowns, 17 carries, throwing a 99-yard touchdown, where he broke like 7 tackles, quote-unquote tackles, but still.
According to Pro Football Focus, 266 of his 283 yards were after contact.
I don't like recency bias. I don't like hyperbole. I try to avoid them like the plague. I don't know how this isn't the greatest all-around running back performance in NFL history for a single night in a single game, considering everything.
If you put up all the performances, because Adrian Peterson's record 296 came with 3 touchdowns, but I also think he had 30 carries, which is still phenomenally impressive.
It's amazing.
It's almost 10 yards a carry. That's insane. But if you put up all the running back performances ever, and you say, hey, running back, you can have one of these games.
Yeah.
I think the 296 and 3 touchdowns is probably at the top. But 17 carries for 238 with 4 scores with a 99-yard touchdown.
So let's just compare Peterson and Henry's. So he had 1 less touchdown, but he had more yards. See, my thing for Henry, the thing that would put it over the top are 2 things. Number 1, the average yards per carry.
Right.
Number 2, the fact that not only are we talking, there's 2 questions regarding Derrick Henry's performance. Where does it rank in the all-time running back performances for a single game? Now, that's question number 1. question number 2 is, where does that 99-yard run? So he has a signature run and a signature night in the same game. Peterson didn't really have a signature. Nobody remembers a signature run out of that game. I'm sure he had a couple of great ones.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, prove me wrong. Anyone else out there, prove you wrong if that's what you're saying. But I think you got to give it to Derrick Henry.
If we took a poll of all the NFL running backs, and it came back that that's the performance they would like to have, 17 carries, 238, and 4 touchdowns, it would not surprise me, and it would be hard to argue against it.
And Rich brings up, a lot of people bringing up Earl Campbell. Again, I would invite you to go back. I watched the Earl Campbell highlights last night just because that's what popped in my head, Garrison Hurst, et cetera, et cetera. Earl Campbell had 4 touchdowns on Monday Night Football. He didn't have any 99-yard runs.
How many yards did he have?
I don't know. I didn't look at the stats. I just watched the video. I don't think you can put Earl Campbell's night and the ways he scored the touchdowns up against Derrick Henry's night. How many of his yards came after contact?
Doug Martin had a 25-carry, 251, and 4 touchdown game.
That's a fine game indeed.
Great game.
All right, let's move on here. Second down.
Second down.
What is your game of the weekend?
Normally, Kyle, I'd stick to one because I don't want to ruin it for you, but I think you and I are going to be on the same page. I'm going to throw apologies out to Eagles-Cowboys because that has serious NFC East implications. But I think really without a doubt, there's no question. Rams going to Chicago and the weather in Chicago. Let's see. Weather 36 degrees and partly cloudy right now. That's the expected weather for Sunday. It's a Sunday night football game. Rams-Bears. Bears 8-4. Defense is amazing going against the Rams and the juggernaut that is Los Angeles. That's a game of the week. That's a possible. You could argue an NFC Championship style game. I don't think there's an argument there.
This feels like a last stand for defense and the defense versus offense debate. One game that I want to circle, I agree with you that that's a game of the weekend, but one that is not to be slept on is Colts at Texans, in a game that could have huge implications in the AFC South and the AFC playoff races. The Colts try and get back on the winning track after falling 6-0 to the Jag last week.
People will want to sleep, and they probably should, on Ravens-Chiefs. Don't be fooled by the Ravens being 7-5 and Lamar Jackson. It's going to be a long day for them, likely at Arrowhead. But the game that people will absolutely sleep on, and they should when you look at the records, I will absolutely be keeping an eye in the mornings on Patriots-Miami. That's in Miami.
Yep.
Tom Brady sucks in Miami.
Very strange.
And they're chasing the Chiefs for that number 1 seed. They lose this weekend. They can kiss that goodbye. Tom Brady goes to Miami to die. Every
so strange.
Damn near every. It really is weird. I was looking at numbers on his record and all his stats up there. It's like it's a completely different person. Third down.
Third down.
Pick an upset for Week 14.
Well, I led into it on purpose. Miami over New England. I'm going to go with the trends. Now watch Miami or New England will win 41-4 now. Yes, that's right. Miami will get 2 safeties. The Dolphins are 6-6. They're not a good team, but they're not a horrific team. And they are playing in Miami. I'm telling you, man, it's one of the weirdest things in football. Tom Brady absolutely sucks in Miami. They lose there quite often. And when you look at his record versus Miami, his averages over his career versus his numbers against the rest of the only place he's lost more games than Miami is Boston. That's it. That's it.
That's wild.
Is absolutely it. Your upset of the weekend.
As badly as I want to pick the Niners against the Broncos because the Broncos are down so many weapons on offense, I just don't think the Niners
just lost Emmanuel Sanders for the year.
Yeah, their 3 top receivers in terms of receptions and yards are all no longer on the active roster.
Gotcha.
Is it an upset is 1.5 points an upset? That's not an upset, right? I'm not picking that one.
Okay.
I like the Eagles to upset the Cowboys. I think the Eagles are going to make this interesting in the NFC East.
I agree with you. Can I guess what your upset was going to be?
Yeah.
Browns over the Panthers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you. And Panthers are favored by 1.5 in that one, but the way the Panthers are playing.
1.5 is not.
Nah. Fourth down.
Fourth down.
I got to go quick. Who loses worse this weekend? Niners hosting the Broncos or the Raiders hosting the Steelers?
Yeah, I'm going to go Raiders are going to lose worse. I think the Steelers are going to be really pissed off after losing that home game to San Diego. But mostly I just think that the Steelers are a better team than Denver. This isn't a cap on the Raiders. I think the Raiders and Niners are about the same. But the Steelers are better, and they're angry, and they're chasing a playoff spot. I think that's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and it has nothing to do, like you said, with the Niners or Raiders. The Broncos are down so many weapons. I think they're going to be perfectly satisfied letting Phillip Lindsay carry the ball 30 times, run it on the Niners defense a little bit, and win like 20-10. Whereas I think the Steelers are going to try and run up the score a little bit.
Tex Liner gives us a great point. Clinton Portis, 219 yards, 5 touchdowns. I still remember to this day he had 74 points for a guy who was playing. I was playing against Clinton Portis in my Money Fantasy League way back then. He had 74 points.
Okay, well, I will see that person's Clinton Portis and raise them Cookie Gilchrist.
Oh, Cookie.
Yeah, in 1963, 243 yards, 5 touchdowns.
God, Cookie Gilchrist was amazing.
I know.
We'll take a break. Sean Salisbury next. We'll talk to him about Derrick Henry and football in general. Always fun with Sean right here on The Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Sacramento Kings are back at it tonight in Cleveland, continuing their road trip. You can listen to that game right here on Sports 1140. Game night's at 3. Kings Live is at 4, and tip-off with Gary Gerald, the G-Man, is at 4:30. Derrick Henry and the Titans started Week 14 of the NFL season with a bang. They thumped the Jaguars 30-9 behind a massive game from Derrick Henry. He had 238 yards on 17 carries and 4 touchdowns. The Raiders and 49ers are both in action at home on Sunday. Oakland welcomes in the Steelers while San Francisco hosts the Broncos at 7:33. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money. Those are your top stories. Now time for Sean Salisbury on the Drive. Sports 1140 KHTK.
It's The Drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Somebody sent me a version. I want to thank everybody who always sends me versions of Toto's Africa. First rule is odds are I have that version. Trust me.
My favorite bit is to send you it. I'll keep it and wait until you've gotten it a million times and then send it.
And then send it. It's always fun. But somebody sent me an a cappella version, a different a cappella version that was recently recorded, like 2 weeks ago. Problem is they did it in like a classroom or something, so it was super echoey. It wasn't professionally done. We got a music change coming up here at the end of the year, by the way. I'm already halfway through.
Can I submit a couple of songs?
Probably not, but sure.
Cool, man.
What's it going to be?
No.
The
It's
1975?
fine. No, it's fine, dude.
Modest Mouse?
No, it's fine. I see where I stand on this show. It's cool.
What's the guy I saw this morning? Is it Triple Red? Triple Red? No, of course you can. What would you submit?
No, it's fine.
Eminem, something. You sent me that one once. You sent me an
No,
Eminem.
that one wasn't good. I listened to it again. I overreacted.
Very obsessive about the music, as
I'll
you
have to
know.
think of a couple.
Okay, of course you can. And then every time it plays, I will point out that is your song. It's Kyle's intro.
I think I want Radio Gaga by Queen. That's a great song.
Got to be a good intro, though.
It
Can't
is.
just be a great song.
Oh, I'm pulling it up. before
No.
we
I
get
got
Sean.
it's. Come on, I can't. Please don't. Sean Salisbury's coming up in just a second. Kyle's going to go furiously Google Radio Gaga by Queen. See, guys, this is a problem. I'm trying to stay on track. Kyle is. It's like a game. It's like fantasy radio for him, trying to throw me off. All right, fine. Go look up your song because I'm going to get into a serious topic here before we get to Sean Salisbury. The Floyd Mayweather fight is back on. That's not a serious topic. That's a joke. He's going to fight that same dude he was supposed to fight a couple months ago, the guy from Japan. Now it's going to be a 3-round boxing exhibition without judges. Sign me up for that. Can't wait to see Floyd Mayweather fight a guy who's had 4 boxing matches. Yeah, he's had a few kickboxing matches in boxing. It's going to be amazing. I'll certainly pay for that. Rudy Gobert, turn that up. Okay, so here's your Radio Gaga intro. And the voice guy will be like, now it's time for the drive right here on Sports 1140 KHTK. Hey, man, if you want to submit that, I'll go in there.
This is high quality.
Of course, it's Queen. Radio. Could you submit a karaoke version of it and you have to sing it?
Yeah, I would love that.
All right, you have to turn that down because we got to get Sean Salisbury on, and this is actually a serious subject. You can give him a call. Greg Hardy's going to fight in the UFC. Greg Hardy's going to fight in the UFC, and if you don't know who Greg Hardy is, just look him up. It's a domestic violence situation, amongst others, that got him out of the NFL. He's going to fight on, it's either one of the first ESPN UFC branded cards on ESPN Plus. This is very interesting because ESPN is owned by Disney, and I'm surprised that they haven't turned to them yet. I said the other day, I do think, especially ever since the sale of the UFC, that Dana White sold his soul a little bit. And I'm also, if you pay your penance, you do your time, you whatever, I do believe in most cases in second chances. But here's where it gets a little interesting. Our very own Paige Van Zandt will also be on that card, fighting somebody named Rachel Ostovich. Rachel Ostovich was questionable on this card because her husband recently broke her jaw. There was a domestic violence incident, and she is now back on the card, the same card as Greg Hardy. It's just, forget about whether or not Greg Hardy should even be fighting. That's a different topic altogether. You got to put him on the same card there. I mean, she's been very outspoken. This is a new story. You know, Dana said he talked to Rachel, and Rachel was fine with it. Well, okay. I mean, I'm not generally part of the angry mob, but I do think there is a code and there are ethics. It's just sad. It's absolutely sad the way the UFC has been operating since the sale, especially. All right, joining us right now, never sad, always happy, always fun, and always has something to say. My good friend that I've known and I've been working with on and off now for my gosh, what is it? Let's see, 5-6 years. His career has been one big arc as he has suffered through tough times and has worked his ass off to get back to where he is right now. Sports Talk 790, 1 to 4 hour time. You can listen to that on the iHeart app out here and so much more. Follow him on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Sean Salisbury, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm always glad you come on, but I'm really glad you're on this morning because we've been talking all morning about Derrick Henry and his performance last night. And, you know, I said this in the last segment, Sean, I don't like hyperbole. I don't like recency bias. If you take the situation out, this wasn't a Super Bowl, this wasn't the playoffs. I'm just asking you straight up, the run by itself, where do you rank that, or have you even thought about it yet when you talk about greatest runs ever?
I haven't thought about it because, I mean, a little bit. I was thinking Marshawn Lynch's run when he was in Seattle.
Yep.
If you never saw Steve Young's run against the Minnesota Vikings years ago, he scrambled out and stumbled his way into the end zone, one of the great ones. Earl Campbell, it seemed like every time we played against Barry Sanders in Minnesota, he had one of those. But Derrick Henry's a monster. And Dave, what people don't see, I mean, I think people may understand, but how big he is. Now, listen, we're talking about a cat that honestly is about, and I don't care what they list him at, he is an outside linebacker.
Yeah.
That's playing running back. So to do the thing, he's physical, he's got a little wiggle to him. I think you saw a taste of what we saw, you know, what was it, back-to-back games at Alabama too, where he carried the ball like 40 times. I mean, he's a workhorse. My biggest complaint about Tennessee is why hasn't he been a workhorse the second he's had the ball? You know what I mean? He should have been carrying this ball and lead down for a year and a half now. But he's a special player, and his run will rank up there and be talked about and be a top 10 for a while. So yeah, I would have to go back and look at some highlights and kind of find out exactly where that would rank. But he's pretty special, man.
So when you looked at that run last night, and again, a guy who played the game, a guy who stood right now, you weren't out there necessarily tackling people running the football, but you saw many a great hit up close, and were obviously involved in a few. When you watch that run, you go on Twitter, Sean, you see this. Anytime somebody does anything great, it's like, they couldn't tackle, or it was, whatever. Everyone always finds a way to poke holes. I trust your opinion. How much credit do you give Henry on that run? And is there a part of you that says it was a great run, but the Jaguars just weren't trying?
Well, I don't. If you're not trying now, I've long since said for about a month now, the Jaguars, they got golf clubs in their bag, and they pretty much, they're great. I don't know if I mentioned this on this show. On my show, I said the Jags are one of those teams that they're one of the great front runners in sports. When they're winning, they'll let you know about it. Their defense will chatter and talk and tell you just how great they are. And they pitched a 6-0 shutout against Andrew Luck last week. But when they're losing, they're that guy who, they're the guy when winning, they'll look back over their shoulder in the 100-meter dash or 200-meter, the last 10 meters, and smirk at you and smile and kind of jog in and beat you. And when they're losing, they're the ones that about 40 meters into the race grab their hamstring. Oh, man, my bad. Can't finish the race. So there's a part of me that says, I need more effort. But I usually give the guy who's making the plays. Now, they may say that the people who are not pro Titans or offensive football, whatever, you'll say, it wasn't that big a deal. I like to give more credit to Derrick Henry and what he's about, not only the speed but the physicality of it. And Jacksonville's defense isn't as good as it was last year. So I guess you could make a case for both. I lean on the side of the effort. When something that good happens, I usually don't try to take away from the guy who put the show on.
Sean Salisbury with us. Sean, I can always throw you curveballs. I know in addition to being an expert at football, you're also a very big basketball and baseball fan. We were having a conversation earlier this week. Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, is thinking about banning the shift, having 4 guys on one side of the field and all that in baseball, which should probably lead to more offense. So we got really philosophical, Sean. In football, you see all this scoring. Basketball, there's always been a lot of scoring, but especially now. Sean, do you think sports are moving towards higher scoring because we're moving into a world where attention spans are kind of wavering? And do you like it? Do you like the higher scoring games, or are you still more kind of, I want to see good defense too?
Well, in most sports, Dave, I'm usually a purist, but I don't think like an old man.
Yeah.
I got a young, I love, how can you not love when you watch the Kansas City Chiefs play offense? But then you let their defense come on the field, and you want to throw up in your mouth. But 54-51 is a great watch. We love watching Big 12 scores, but none of us think the Big 12's that good. So it's a weird dynamic, because it's like, man, I love when they score 38 points in the first half, and attention span does have something to do with it. Things are changing. I was talking about this on my show earlier this week, and I said, would you be opposed to? I would, just to get a taste of it for younger people who didn't watch the Lakers Celtics in the 80s or what have you. The Pistons, the bad boys, and the All-Star game. You want to change the All-Star game? Let's one All-Star game take away the three-point line. NBA All, just for fun. And just to see how they'd compete. And how good would Steph Curry be in the NBA if there was no three-point line for a season? Great, maybe, probably. But would KD be better? Would Steph's game be limited now? Probably. Be a little different now. Had to attack the rim a little bit more. So instead of going the opposite, where we're getting 168 to 160, why don't we go 80 style, and let's go no three-point line in the NBA All-Star game, see if that ramps them up a little bit. That'd be fun. I'd love to see it. So I'm a purist for the most part, but I'm with most people. I'd rather watch the Red Sox in a wind-blown game where they're playing the Astros or a team, or the Yankees, and the wind's blowing out and it's 15-12, and balls are being pounded over the monster. But the other side of me says, now, if we're in the 7th inning and the guy's got a no-hitter, I want to see him finish the no-hitter. I don't want to see a 3-1 game. But then I go back to say, damn, a 2-1 game, guy on second, 2 outs, closer in, Mike Trout at the plate, hits one to right field, and then there's a play at the plate. I love that too. So I'm not trying to evade the question. This is one of the hardest rules for me because it bothers me, the switch does, but then the old school philosophy, if Tony Gwynn was playing, he'd say, screw your Wade Boggs, I'll just punch it the other way.
Yep.
But you wouldn't switch on those guys because they would punch it the other way. So the question is, do you lean on the side of more offense? You're not allowed to switch. You can't have so many guys on either side of the thing. Eventually, what are we going to get to in football? You're not allowed to blitz. So he scored 70 points. So you're not allowed to blitz us. You can only rush 4, maybe 5, one down, like they used to do in the Pro Bowl. And so we have more offense. People love offense. But we're getting to the point, honestly, and I sincerely mean this, where some games are flat ass, even when they're high scoring, are just unwatchable. It's pinball machine crap. So I don't. A part of me says, then you better, if you're a dead pull hitter, you better learn to hit it the other way, man. But this is typical. We're going to keep scoring in the NBA. They will never do away with the three-point line. Why? Because we want 130 to 126 games. We love Golden State basketball. Football-wise, we're never going back to the lineup and 2 tights, 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver on a continuous basis and win 17-10. That 6-0 game, you won't see a 6-0 game for 4 more years in the end, what we saw in the NFL last year. And in baseball, people want 9-7, 12-10. And this rule, and I do believe it's going to change because there's enough bitching going on, because guys don't do what the Gwynns and the old school players do. They don't work on hitting it the other way. The ones that do, J.D. Martinez hit 43 home runs. Guys who hit it the other way, they lead the league in hitting. Dead pull hitters, Stanton hit 227, 198 with runners in scoring position, and hit 50 home runs. So what do you like? I lean more on the purist side, but I do believe the rule is going to change, and it's just going to make guys even more one-dimensional because they say, I don't have to hit it the other way anymore. I can just do what I normally do.
Sean Salisbury with us. Sean, you'll remember the commercial, and when you talk about the three-point line and you compare that to the home run or the long pass, they're all very similar. I go back to the Tom Glavine spot, chicks dig the long ball. Now, that saying is outdated, but I think it's a very accurate one. It's not about chicks or girls digging the long ball. People dig the long ball, and whether it's the home run in baseball, the three-pointer in basketball, the long pass in football, I think we have moved more and more towards that where people dig that type of play.
Well, you're exactly right. And there's an art to doing the old school way where pick, roll, Larry Bird come off the screen, bounce pass at the rim to Chief Parrish, and he finishes with a layup or a dunk at the rim.
Yep.
Now it's, we play ISO basketball, and we switch all the time. And, it's just the Rockets, these teams that are switching. And you mentioned the long ball. Think about this, Dave. When Ricky Henry, and we'll have to get back to baseball, if we have a guy steal 100 bases, nobody steals 100 bases anymore.
No.
Nobody. Ricky Henderson will do it 5 years in a row.
Yep.
I mean, it's we
Vince
don't bunt
Coleman.
anymore. Vince Coleman exactly the same way. We don't bunt anymore.
Nope.
We just don't. There's a guy on third or a guy on second, and your number 6 hitters come into the plate. And if you're a basher team, a 6 hitter, a guy on second, and if they do square around a bunt, very few of them know how to do it. But people now, it's like, well, we're not giving away the at-bat.
Because millennials and nerds are ruining the game, Sean. I hate it.
Yeah, we're not giving. And you know what? If you go to batting practice, watch the leadoff, the number 2 hitter who should always be able to bunt, right?
Yeah.
What they'll do is during batting practice, they'll bunt one down the left field, down the third baseline, one between the pitcher and the first base, and one down the first baseline, and then they'll swing away. They'll swing away. That's their bunting practice. Now, I get it, but a guy on second, no outs, and you say, gosh, or 1 out, less than 2 outs, move him. Let's move him over, especially with no outs, because get him on base with 1 out, now we can still hit the sacrifice fly. But, okay, just lay the ball down. No, I don't want to take the bat away. He might hit a gapper, and he might get to triple on a triple. So we do that, then we swing and miss, and nobody cares. Now, the ball in play, you'd think, well, if I put it in play, somebody's got a chance to boot it. We don't care. You could swing and miss 1,000,000 times. Guy on second, swing through it. Now, I understand you're not going to let Stanton or certain guys, the Trouts of the world, bunt because there's a chance he'll hit it out. But we don't even have our 8th hitter bunt anymore. He doesn't know how. And while I know it's not fun, but these guys the analytics say we're not giving away at bats. And it's evidence, and I get it, but there's sometimes you think, dude, there's a guy on second with no outs. Your number 2 hitter should be able to bunt. The 2 hitter used to have to be your best bunter on the team because he'd always be in position to be able to move the guy from first over to stay out of a double play. That's why we got more double plays. Guy on first, no outs, swing through it, dude. Boom. 6-4-3, 2 outs now. So That's it. And it does. It does. I don't look at the clouds and, hey, kick rocks. That's not me. I'm not an old school guy. I like points. I like offense. I'm a quarterback. But damn, it's to the point now where you don't have to be special. You only have to be specialized in one thing in baseball at the plate. Can you mash? If you can mash, you're going to get paid for a long time.
Sean Salisbury with us. All right, so as we wrap up, you mentioned something earlier about take away the three-point line in the All-Star game. It made me think, Sean, I'm going to give you a choice. You are the celebrity rule maker for the next All-Star game, and you can do one thing. Do you take away the three-point line for a game, or do you add a 4-point line?
Screw the I don't need any more points, dude. Because you know what? With the Steph Currys and those guys are already shooting from that distance anyway.
Right.
They're shooting from that. Because all I'm doing is adding to what they do, their skill set. Hell, they'll start pumping jumpers from the locker room now. I want them to play to what they don't do all the time. Let me see Steph Curry in an All-Star game, as great a shooter as he is. Let me see you hit 8 mid-range jumpers.
Sure.
Let me see you take it off the dribble and attack the rim when it's a little more bunched up and we're not spread out as much because we don't have a three-point line in the All-Star game. Let me see an All-Star game that ends up 98-96 and they're going balls to the wall in the fourth quarter and they're getting physical at the rim instead of 168-164 and we're playing the last 3 or 4 minutes. I'd love to see the polish of, and then the big fella that can play with his back to the basket. Can you hit that mid-range 15-footer at the elbow? I would love to see. It's not even. If they ever institute a 4-point line, then why don't we just lower the rim to 8 foot and we can all dunk any way we want? I mean, give me a break. We don't need a 4-point line. Save that for the the big 3 league, okay? For the gimmick stuff. We don't need it for NBA. That's the first thing I do for the All-Star game because at times it's unwatchable. Guys moving out of the lane, throwing alley-oops, and it's fun.
Right.
You see their athleticism. But if you want to see real basketball played old school just for fun for a game, instead of going the other way, let's do simply this. Let's eliminate the three-point line for one All-Star game and see if people watch and listen and love it. And I think the players would actually find it pretty cool for a game. And what's it hurt? It's an exhibition. Just like at the All-Star game home run derby, I'd let them use aluminum bats. Nobody cares that you hit 20 home runs. We want to hear you hit 25, 520 feet. We don't want to see you hit it the line drive that wins it over the fence on a 335-foot home run. We don't want to see that. We want to see, can you hit it 580 with an aluminum bat? give them, and people say you'll kill somebody. If a ball hits a person with a wood bat in the temple, they're going to kill them. So, you know what? Arm them with gloves. We can't put the kids on the field. So what? We got nets behind home plate. Put aluminum bats in their hands like they're using in the College World Series, not the old school aluminum.
Sure.
The College World Series, and let them mash, man. Don't you want to see if somebody can hit it 600 feet? I do.
I would love that.
So let's do it, man. So if we're going to change and with the Pro Bowl, just stick that in the motor pool and crap can that nonsense. So or let the guys who never played in the Pro Bowl play. Let the guys who are the third because eventually the third stringer plays anyway because 48 quarterbacks turn down their invite to the Pro Bowl. We got to, and you can do away. That's the worst All-Star game there is. I want Ray Fosse and Pete Rose collision at home plate. I want that. That's what made that All-Star game. Dave Parker throwing people out at the plate. I love it. Put an aluminum bat in their hand on the home run derby, and let's just see how far they can mash.
Sean Salisbury hosts the Sean Salisbury Show 1 to 4 p.m. Houston, Texas. Sports Talk 790. You can listen to it at the iHeart app. Follow him online at Sean Unfiltered. Sean, I think I told you the end of March, I will be in Houston with my wife. We'll be jumping through on a Kings road trip. I'm coming to see you, buddy.
I'll be here waiting on you, brother. I'm not going anywhere. We'll celebrate my birthday together right here in town.
That's what I'm talking about. Sean Salisbury, everybody. We'll talk to you in a week, and you take care, my man. Thank you.
You too, brother. Thank you.
All right, that's Sean. Sean's got
that was tough.
Everyone fired up, and I am here for all of it. Get rid of the bunt. Or excuse me, bring back the bunt. Get rid of the three-point line. Pete Rose crashing into Ray Fosse. Aluminum bats in the home run derby. Take the kids off the field. That's why I love him. Dave Richards, CBS Sports. When we get back, we'll talk a little fantasy football. See if he recommended Travis Henry. He'll be honest. See if he recommended Travis Henry. Derrick Henry as a play last night. Oh, it's Travis Henry.
He's also a Titans running back at one point, I believe.
That's why I did that. Don't hire any more running backs whose last name is Henry. Tennessee. Stop doing that to me. Right here on the drive. Sports 1140 KHTK.